Even after watching all 6 seasons of The Sopranos, it can be surprisingly difficult to explain how someone actually joins the Mafia. We understand when someone is important. We know that Tony is the boss, Silvio is his consigliere, Paulie is a captain, and Christopher eventually becomes a made man. The show throws around phrases such as getting your button, opening the books, being proposed, and becoming a friend of ours. But the show never stops to explain any of it, because everyone inside the organization already understands, and nobody is going to break it down for an outsider. Which leaves a lot of questions. Does someone have to be Italian to join the Mafia? Does he need to come from a criminal family? Or can a completely ordinary person work their way in? Does he have to kill someone to get made? What actually happens during the initiation ceremony? And once you are in, can you ever actually leave? Those are probably the ones most people wonder about, but this video goes much deeper than that. Things like whether a woman can join, whether a gay man can, whether someone with a drug addiction can be made, whether education or religion plays any role. Pretty much every question you could think of gets answered here, including ones you probably never even thought to ask. And anytime a new question is being covered, it will appear on screen, so feel free to jump to whatever you want to know. As a fan myself, I have gathered every single question I could think of, so expect this video to be longer than most videos on this topic. It answers almost every question that you might have, so I think it will be worth the time. By the end, we should have a clear idea of who can join the Mafia in The Sopranos, how they reach that position, what they are expected to do before being accepted, and what they receive once they finally become made. Starting with the first question, what does joining the Mafia actually mean? The first source of confusion is that someone can work with the Mafia for years without becoming a member. The Sopranos presents several different levels of connection. These levels often mix together socially. A civilian can eat at the same restaurant as a captain. An associate can carry out a murder for the boss. A businessman can earn millions with the family while holding no official rank. Their legal and criminal positions remain very different. At the lowest level, there are ordinary civilians. Artie is a civilian. He is Tony's childhood friend, receives favors from Tony, and occasionally benefits from Tony's reputation. He has no position in the DeMio crime family. He cannot attend its internal meetings, demand a sit-down, or claim the protection of a made man. Davey Scatino is also a civilian. He knows Tony from school and gets invited into the executive card game. That access does not bring him closer to membership. Tony and Richie treat him as a customer who owes money. A civilian can have Mafia friends. He can owe them money, do business with them, or even help them. None of this makes him part of the organization. The next level is the associate. An associate works with made men and earns money through criminal activity. He might collect debts, steal cars, hijack trucks, run gambling operations, sell drugs, move stolen property, commit robberies, or carry out violence. He usually reports to a made member and gives that person a percentage of his earnings. Christopher begins the series as an associate. Brendan is an associate. Matt and Sean are associates. Jackie Jr. and Dino begin moving through the same world. Benny Fazio spends much of the series working closely with made men while waiting for greater recognition. An associate can be extremely active. Christopher kills people, handles bodies, runs scams, and takes direct orders from Tony before he is made. His criminal workload already resembles that of a full member. His protection remains weaker during that period. An associate belongs to someone's crew without holding official membership in the family. His value depends on his earnings, his connections, and the made man standing behind him. He has no button, no formal rank, and no automatic right to demand that the family defend him. The final level is the made man. A made man has been formally inducted. He has taken the oath, completed the ceremony, and become an official member of the family. At the beginning of that formal hierarchy, he is generally considered a soldier. Greater ranks such as captain, consigliere, underboss, and boss come later. Becoming made therefore represents a promotion from associate to official member. It does not automatically make someone a captain, a millionaire, or a senior leader. Christopher gains a button. He still answers to men above him. Moving on to the next question, can a civilian join the Mafia? A civilian can eventually join, although the series never shows someone walking in from a completely unrelated life and asking for membership. There is no public entrance point. Nobody sends in an application. The family does not advertise that it is looking for new soldiers. A civilian first needs access to someone inside the criminal world. That introduction could come from family relationships, neighborhood connections, friendship, or criminal business. Once introduced, the civilian can begin helping the crew and gradually become an associate. The process is slow because the organization needs to know who the person is. A new man creates risk. He could be unreliable, reckless, connected to law enforcement, or willing to cooperate after his first arrest. The family learns about him through years of observation. They watch whether he keeps quiet. They see whether he pays what he owes. They observe how he behaves around money, police pressure, and violence. They find out whether he follows instructions or begins making dangerous decisions for himself. A completely ordinary civilian could theoretically enter this path. He would need an established member or associate willing to introduce him and accept responsibility for him. After that, he would have to prove useful for a long period. The series gives us no example of an unknown person entering the organization quickly. Nearly everyone who rises has some previous connection. Christopher is related to Tony's family through his father's side. Bobby is the son of Bobby Sr., a respected veteran and feared killer. Jackie Jr. is the son of a former acting boss. Little Paulie is related to Paulie. Benny works inside Christopher and Tony's circle. The organization recruits from familiar networks because familiarity reduces risk. A family name gives senior members people to question and a history they can examine. A civilian can join. A civilian without any trusted connection would struggle to get close enough to begin. This next question is often asked. Do you have to be Italian? Within the American Mafia organizations shown in The Sopranos, Italian ancestry appears to be a basic requirement for formal membership. Every confirmed made member of Tony's family is a man from an Italian-American background. The same pattern appears in the New York family. The series never clearly explains the exact ancestry calculation. It does not tell us whether both parents must be Italian, whether an Italian father is enough, or how far back the family examines someone's bloodline. Giving a more precise rule would require using information from outside the series. According to the evidence inside The Sopranos, the safest answer is that a candidate must be accepted as Italian by the organization. The exact genealogical standard remains unspoken. Non-Italians can still become powerful associates. Hesh Rabkin is the clearest example. He has worked with Tony's father and continues working closely with Tony. He earns large amounts of money, participates in major financial arrangements, and can speak to Tony with a level of honesty many soldiers would avoid. Hesh never becomes a made man. I find Hesh one of the more interesting cases in the show. He has more money, more real influence, and probably more genuine respect from Tony than most soldiers ever get. The rules still exclude him, and nobody ever seriously questions that. His experience and wealth give him influence. They cannot give him formal membership under the ethnic rules of Tony's organization. A person can therefore become valuable without becoming eligible. This next question is just a curiosity of mine, which I also wanted to cover. Can a woman be made? The American crime families in The Sopranos only induct men. Carmela, Rosalie, Gabriella, and the other wives live around the organization. Some understand more than they admit. Others hold property, pass messages, or help manage money. They receive no rank. Angie becomes a capable businesswoman and runs the body shop after Pussy disappears. Her success gives her financial independence and useful connections. She still has no position inside the formal family. Adriana manages the Crazy Horse and becomes exposed to criminal activity through Christopher. She remains Christopher's girlfriend and later his fiancée. She cannot become a soldier. The strongest apparent exception is Annalisa Zucca in Naples. Annalisa has real authority over the Italian organization Tony visits. That group belongs to the Camorra and operates through a different structure and culture. Her position does not change the membership rules inside Tony's New Jersey family. A woman can influence mafia business. She can own a useful company, hide money, carry messages, or benefit from criminal earnings. The American families shown in the series do not offer her formal initiation. Is there a minimum age to join? The Sopranos never gives a specific minimum age for being made. No character says that someone must be 21, 25, or 30. There is no known birthday after which a candidate suddenly becomes eligible. Every person we see being inducted is an adult with previous criminal experience. Christopher has spent years working for Tony before his ceremony. Eugene has also built enough of a reputation to be inducted beside him. Bert and Jerry are established adult criminals when their membership is celebrated in Season 6. This suggests that experience matters far more than a fixed age. The organization needs time to judge a candidate. A teenager may be capable of committing crimes, although he has rarely built the reputation, earnings, and trust required for formal membership. Jackie Jr. is old enough to attend university, carry a gun, and participate in robberies. His age alone does not make him ready. He has little experience, no stable operation, and terrible judgment. Tony and Jackie Sr. were also young when they robbed Feach LaManna's card game alongside Silvio. That robbery became part of their legend, and their family connections helped protect them from the consequences. They still had to continue rising through the organization afterward. The series gives us no minimum age. In practice, the candidate needs enough adult experience for senior members to trust him with lifelong membership. A very young candidate would have to overcome the obvious concern that he has not been tested for long enough. A lot of people also ask this. Do you need to come from a mafia family? A criminal family background is helpful. It is not presented as an absolute requirement. Christopher receives enormous advantages from his connection to Tony. His father's memory also gives Christopher a respected name whose reputation continues helping him after his death. Tony treats Christopher as part of his personal future. He gives him access to meetings, work, and protection that another young associate might never receive. Christopher survives several mistakes because Tony remains emotionally invested in him. Bobby also benefits from his father's reputation. Bobby Sr. was known as a dangerous and respected member. That name gives Bobby Jr. credibility before he has built a violent reputation of his own. Family background can act as an early reference. Senior members know where the candidate comes from. They know his relatives. They may have watched him grow up. His entire family can become a source of pressure if he causes trouble. Still, being someone's son creates no automatic membership. Jackie Jr. proves that more clearly than anyone. His father was acting boss. His uncle Richie was a captain. Ralph lives with his mother. Tony has known him since childhood. Few young men could ask for better connections. Jackie receives no button, no rank, and no guaranteed future. His name gets him access. It also saves him from immediate punishment several times. Tony speaks to him personally and tries to keep him out of danger because of his promise to Jackie Sr. Once Jackie shoots at made men and helps kill Sunshine, the protection created by his surname begins disappearing. A father can open doors for his son. The son still has to prove that allowing him through those doors will benefit the organization. Is membership inherited? No position in the Mafia is automatically inherited by a son. When a boss or captain dies, his child does not receive the rank. AJ does not become Tony's successor simply because he is Tony's son. Tony does not even want AJ involved in the criminal life. Jackie Jr. sees himself as the heir to Jackie Sr.'s importance. Christopher and others occasionally refer to him in language that feeds this idea. The organization never formally recognizes him as an heir. Christopher is treated more seriously as Tony's possible successor because Tony actively trains and promotes him. That plan comes from Tony's support and Christopher's work. Blood connection contributes to the decision without creating an automatic right. Membership belongs to the individual who has been approved and inducted. A famous surname can accelerate the process. It can never complete the process by itself. Does a candidate need a criminal record? The series gives no indication that an arrest or conviction is required. Some members have spent years in prison. Richie April, Feach Lamanna, Phil Leotardo, and Tony Blundetto return after long sentences. Their prison time gives them credibility because they serve time without betraying the organization. Other members avoid major prison sentences. Tony has never served a long sentence, and Phil uses that fact to insult him. Tony still becomes a captain, and eventually, the effective boss of New Jersey. Avoiding prison can even demonstrate competence. A good earner who stays out of custody remains useful. The family cares about how someone behaves when law enforcement applies pressure. A candidate who immediately cooperates after an arrest would become unacceptable. A person does not need to be arrested just to prove that he can remain silent. A criminal record may help establish that someone has been involved in serious activity. It also creates legal exposure. There is no requirement to spend a certain number of years in prison. Does education matter? Education has almost no value in the membership decision. Matt and Sean attended Pace College and have stockbroker licenses. Their education helps them participate in the Wabistics operation. It does not earn them respect from Tony, Christopher, or Furio. They are useful for one specific scam and invisible to everyone above them for everything else. Jackie Jr. attends Rutgers and claims to be studying medicine. The older members would rather see him become a doctor. His university status gives him no authority in the criminal world. Christopher has limited formal education and becomes made. The Mafia values skills when those skills produce money. A person who understands finance, construction, unions, gambling, or business could become more useful. The diploma itself carries little weight. Tony repeatedly respects intelligence when it strengthens an operation. He also distrusts people who use intelligence to challenge his authority. A candidate needs street judgment, discretion, and the ability to earn. Academic achievement has no official role. Do you need to be married or have children? Marriage is not required. Paulie never marries and remains a long-serving made man. Christopher is engaged to Adriana during his initiation. Other members have wives, girlfriends, and children. The ceremony does refer directly to a candidate's family. Tony explains that the criminal family must come before the man's wife, children, mother, and father. This establishes the priority of the organization even when the new member has no wife or children at the time. Marriage can make a member appear stable and respectable. It gives him a conventional family life that hides criminal activity. It also creates more people who can become witnesses, financial dependents, or sources of pressure. The organization accepts both married and unmarried men. It demands the same first loyalty from both. Does religion matter? Christopher and Eugene's ceremony uses Catholic imagery. Their fingers are pricked, blood is placed on a saint card, and the card is burned while they swear loyalty. The ritual treats betrayal as a spiritual offense. The show never suggests that a candidate has to prove sincere religious belief. Tony and the others frequently violate the religious values they claim to respect. Their ceremony uses Catholic identity as tradition, symbolism, and intimidation. A candidate would be expected to participate in the ritual. Personal faith receives no serious examination. The organization wants the oath to feel permanent. The religious language gives the promise a consequence beyond prison or death. This one I added only because of Vito. Even though he was not gay, it was just the medications. Can an openly gay man join? The series never shows an openly gay candidate asking for membership, although Vito's story gives us a very clear picture of what would happen. Vito is already a made man and a captain when the crew learns about his sexuality. He has reached that position because the organization believed he was heterosexual. He has a wife, children, and a girlfriend, which helps him maintain that appearance. Once the truth becomes known, several members immediately demand his death. Tony hesitates because Vito is one of his strongest earners. Money briefly creates room for discussion. The captains still see Vito's return as unacceptable, and Phil eventually has him killed. The practical answer is clear. An openly gay man would have virtually no chance of being inducted into Tony's family. A closeted man could enter if the organization remained unaware, as Vito did. This is less an official application rule and more a violent cultural rule enforced by the members. Can a drug user be made? Drug use does not automatically prevent membership. Christopher uses drugs before and after his initiation. His addiction is already developing when he becomes made. The family's concern grows when the addiction affects his performance. He becomes unreliable, misses responsibilities, causes accidents, and creates a greater risk of cooperating with law enforcement. The issue is usefulness and control. A member can drink heavily, gamble, and use drugs while continuing to earn and obey. Once the addiction interferes with business, senior members begin viewing him as dangerous. Tony eventually identifies Christopher's unreliability as a threat to himself and the family. A candidate does not need to be completely sober. A visible addiction can delay promotion or destroy confidence in him. How does someone become an associate? There is no ceremony for becoming an associate. The process can begin with a small job. A connected person may ask someone to drive a car, collect money, deliver stolen goods, or help with a robbery. If the newcomer completes the job and keeps quiet, he may receive another one. Over time, the jobs become more serious. The associate begins earning regularly. A made member becomes his superior. The associate may start using the crew's reputation to collect debts or frighten customers. In return, he gives part of his earnings upward. Christopher supervises Matt and Sean in this way. They help with logistics, robberies, and the executive card game. They see important people and begin believing they are part of something larger. They have entered the Mafia's workforce. They have not entered its membership. An associate's success depends partly on the person supervising him. A strong sponsor can offer better opportunities and defend him during disputes. A weak or indifferent sponsor may use the associate for years without seriously proposing him. The associate stage has no guaranteed ending. A person could remain there for his entire criminal career. How long must someone work before being made? The show gives no fixed number of years. Christopher works for Tony throughout the first 2 seasons and clearly has a history with him before the pilot. He kills Emil Kolar very early in the series, participates in major crimes, and repeatedly asks for recognition. Tony eventually tells Christopher that he will propose him for a button near the end of Season 2. The actual ceremony occurs early in Season 3. The proposal and the induction are therefore separate stages. We know much less about Eugene's journey. He is inducted beside Christopher, which tells us that he has also satisfied the leadership, even though the audience has not followed every step. The family judges each candidate individually. A useful candidate with strong sponsorship may move quickly. A reckless candidate can work for years without gaining enough trust. The availability of membership slots can delay everyone. Time alone creates no right to be made. A man could serve the organization for a decade and remain an associate if leadership never approves him. What does it mean when the books are closed? The books refer to the family's acceptance of new members. When the books are closed, the organization is not inducting anyone. A candidate can continue working, earning, and building his reputation. His ceremony will have to wait. During the first season, Christopher is frustrated because he believes his recent work deserves recognition. Tony explains that new members are not currently being accepted. This matters because Christopher cannot force the family to create a place for him. Later, Tony formally proposes Christopher for membership. By Season 3, Christopher and Eugene are inducted. In Season 6, the series again refers to the books being opened when Bert and Jerry are recognized as new members. This confirms that inductions happen in controlled periods rather than whenever one captain feels generous. The show never explains exactly who decides to open the books or how many candidates can enter at once. The decision clearly involves leadership and wider mafia politics. A family cannot continuously create new members without considering its size, reputation, and relationship with other families. A candidate may be ready while the organization remains closed. Who decides whether someone is ready? The candidate needs a sponsor with enough standing to propose him. Near the end of season 2, Tony tells Christopher that he is proposing him for his button. Christopher's response makes it clear that he believes he has earned it. Tony's wording also tells us that even the boss does not treat the promotion as something the candidate simply claims for himself. A sponsor places his reputation behind the candidate. When a made man recommends an associate, he is telling the family that this person can be trusted. A disastrous candidate could embarrass the sponsor and create trouble for everyone. The final approval belongs to senior leadership. The series does not take us through a complete voting procedure or show every conversation held before an initiation. We see the result when Tony, Silvio, Paulie, and the others gather for Christopher and Eugene's ceremony. A candidate needs more than one powerful friend casually saying that he likes him. He needs enough agreement inside the organization for his membership to be recognized. Does a candidate need to earn a specific amount of money? The show never gives a required figure. There is no known rule saying that an associate must earn $100,000, deliver a certain number of envelopes, or control a business worth a particular amount. Earning ability still matters enormously. The Mafia exists to make money. Every member is expected to produce income and send a percentage upward. A candidate who regularly brings money into the crew becomes useful. Tony calls strong members good earners. Vito's earning ability becomes the main reason Tony considers keeping him alive. Ralph's construction income makes him difficult to replace. Junior complains when people fail to provide the tribute he expects. A candidate's value is measured over time. The family wants to know whether the person can create income, protect an operation, and continue paying during difficult periods. One large payment could come from luck. Consistent earnings prove that the associate can survive inside the business. Christopher's initiation does not come with a statement that he has reached a financial target. After the ceremony, Paulie gives him control of the sportsbook and requires a percentage with a weekly minimum. That $6,000 minimum belongs to Christopher's new operation. It is not an entrance fee for becoming made. This distinction matters. Christopher does not buy his membership for $6,000. His promotion gives him access to a business carrying a $6,000 weekly obligation. There is no exact earnings requirement. A candidate who cannot earn would have little reason to be accepted. Can someone buy his way into the Mafia? The series never gives a confirmed example of a candidate directly purchasing his button. Money creates influence. A powerful earner may receive faster consideration because leadership wants to keep him close and reward his production. That still differs from paying a one-time price for membership. The candidate needs trust, sponsorship, and approval. A rich civilian cannot walk into the Bing, offer Tony an envelope, and become a soldier. Money can make someone valuable. It cannot erase concerns about ancestry, loyalty, judgment, or law enforcement risk. Does he have to complete a major robbery? There is no required robbery. The confusion comes from the story of Tony Soprano, Jackie April Sr., and Silvio robbing Fitch Lamana's card game. That robbery became famous because Tony, Jackie, and Silvio were young associates who dared to target a game run by a respected member. Their fathers and relatives had enough influence to keep them alive. The incident helped build their reputations and push them toward faster advancement. Jackie Jr. hears this story and treats it like a formula. He assumes that repeating the robbery will produce the same result. Ralph encourages the fantasy by describing how Tony and Jackie Sr. made their names. Jackie ignores the conditions surrounding the original event. Tony and Jackie Sr. had stronger connections, better judgment, and people willing to protect them. Their robbery succeeded. Jackie Jr.'s robbery collapses immediately. Sunshine is killed, Furio is wounded, and made men are fired upon. The robbery does not become proof that Jackie deserves membership. It becomes proof that he is dangerous. A major crime can strengthen a candidate's reputation when it earns money and pleases the right people. An unauthorized crime that damages the family can end his life. There is no special robbery that automatically earns a button. Does he have to kill someone? This is probably the biggest question, and The Sopranos gives us an unusually clear answer. A candidate does not always have to kill someone before being made. Christopher commits murder before his initiation. He kills Emil Kolar and participates in further violence. Tony also committed a murder as a young man when he killed Willie Overall. These examples support the common belief that a murder proves commitment. Killing someone places the candidate in a serious crime with the organization. It demonstrates that he is willing to use violence and gives everyone involved a shared secret. Bobby proves that it is not an absolute requirement. In Season 6, Tony learns that Bobby has never killed anyone. Bobby is already made, has served Junior, has become a captain, and is moving closer to Tony's inner circle. His first murder happens only after Tony sends him to kill a man in Canada. Bobby may have received special consideration because of his father. Bobby Sr. was a respected member with a frightening reputation. Bobby Jr. also spent years demonstrating loyalty and earning through less violent work. The series never gives a full explanation of how Bobby was made without a murder. His case genuinely surprised me when I looked at it closely. He is a captain before he has ever killed anyone. That is not what the show conditions you to expect. His existence settles the basic question. A completed murder is not mandatory in every case. A willingness to participate in violence appears essential. The organization cannot accept a member who refuses every violent order. Bobby eventually has to cross that line when Tony orders him to do it. A candidate might reach the ceremony without having killed. He should understand that membership can bring that assignment at any time. Does violence help someone get made? Violence helps when it serves the organization. Christopher gains value by carrying out difficult and dangerous work. Furio's capacity for controlled violence makes him valuable. A soldier needs to collect debts, defend operations, and intimidate people. Violence without permission can ruin a candidate. Brendan repeatedly hijacks trucks connected to Junior after being warned to stop. He sees himself as bold and ambitious. Junior sees an associate who ignores authority and damages business. Brendan is killed. Matt and Sean make the same mistake on a larger scale. They know Richie dislikes Christopher, so they decide to murder Christopher without receiving an order. They believe the attack will prove their courage and earn Richie's support. Richie reacts with anger because nobody authorized it. Their attempt to impress him creates a crisis involving Tony's protected relative. Sean dies during the attack, and Tony later kills Matt. Violence gains value through discipline. The family needs men who can hurt someone on command and remain calm afterward. A young associate who begins choosing his own targets becomes a threat. What qualities is the family looking for? The family wants an earner who follows instructions and understands the hierarchy. Loyalty matters because members know enough to destroy one another. Every business, murder, and secret creates possible evidence. Discretion matters because unnecessary attention harms everyone. Consistency matters because the family expects money every week. A candidate who earns once and disappears during difficult periods offers little long-term value. Judgment matters because orders are often indirect. The member needs to understand what he has permission to do, whose territory he is entering, and how much attention a crime will attract. Courage matters because fear can make someone cooperate with law enforcement. Patience also matters. Christopher struggles with patience throughout the early seasons. He wants recognition immediately. He complains that his work has not produced enough status. Tony repeatedly sees that ambition alongside Christopher's immaturity. The family is looking for someone who can remain useful for years. Matt, Sean, Brendan, and Jackie Jr. all want to skip that slow process. Each one tries to create a single dramatic moment that will force the older men to respect him. The older men see impatience, poor judgment, and danger. How important is paying tribute? Paying tribute is one of the clearest signs that an associate accepts the structure. Money moves upward through the organization. Associates pay the made members supervising them. Soldiers pay captains. Captains send money to the administration. Each level keeps a portion. An associate who hides money is stealing from the people above him. Matt and Sean experience this system when Furio visits their apartment to collect. They already owe money upward, and Furio casually demands another $1,000 for himself. They hate it, although they have no power to challenge him. Christopher experiences the same pressure after becoming made. Paulie gives him the sports book, takes 10%, and demands a $6,000 weekly minimum. When Christopher comes up short, Paulie refuses to treat it as a misunderstanding between friends. Christopher works for him, and the missing payment creates an additional penalty. A candidate proves himself partly by accepting this arrangement. He may resent the amounts. He is expected to pay anyway. Someone who refuses to send money upward has rejected the organization's main economic rule. Can someone be too reckless to join? Recklessness is one of the fastest ways to lose consideration. Brendan ignores repeated warnings. Matt and Sean attack Christopher. Jackie Jr. robs a protected card game and fires at made members. Each of them believes risk will look impressive. The family sees the damage created by that risk. A made member has access to sensitive information, businesses, and internal disputes. Giving that status to a reckless person makes every member less safe. Christopher is reckless as well. His advantage is Tony. Tony continues protecting, correcting, and promoting him because he sees Christopher as family and as a possible successor. Another associate would probably receive fewer chances. Christopher's journey demonstrates how much sponsorship can compensate for weakness. It cannot compensate forever. What happens to associates who think they are about to be made? The Sopranos repeatedly shows young associates misunderstanding their position. Brendan believes he is close because he works with Christopher and participates in serious robberies. In reality, he is an associate operating beneath another associate. His closeness to Christopher gives him access without giving him protection. Matt and Sean believe that meeting Tony and working the executive card game means they are being noticed. Tony barely knows which one is which. They stand near important people and mistake physical proximity for advancement. Nobody has promised to propose them. Nobody gives them a timetable. Christopher uses them for work and collects his percentage. Jackie Jr. receives the most misleading access. Ralph gives him a gun, takes him on a collection, and tells him stories about Tony's youth. Jackie begins feeling as though he has entered a training program. Ralph never formally sponsors him. Tony actively opposes Jackie's involvement because Jackie Sr. wanted his son outside the life. Jackie therefore has connections to the family while the boss is working against his criminal ambitions. Dino follows Jackie and seems to believe Jackie's surname will protect both of them. It does not. These young men are rarely promised membership directly. They deceive themselves by treating every small opportunity as evidence that the ceremony is coming. The family benefits from that confusion. Ambitious associates work harder when they believe a promotion may eventually arrive. Can a son of a boss be deceived too? Jackie Jr. believes his family history gives him a path that nobody has officially offered. People around him help create the illusion. Christopher allows him to drive during a robbery. Ralph introduces him to collections and gives him a weapon. Other young men treat Jackie as though his father's position still belongs to the name. Tony's behavior sends a different message. Tony repeatedly tells Christopher and Ralph to keep Jackie away from criminal activity. He reminds Jackie that his father wanted him to become a doctor. Tony sees no future for him in the organization. Jackie hears the answer and continues searching for another one. The family never makes a formal promise. The culture around Jackie makes the promise feel real. That is how he becomes deceived. He has enough access to imagine membership and too little understanding to recognize that nobody important is supporting it. What is the final step before the ceremony? The candidate must be proposed and approved while the books are open. Christopher's story gives us the clearest order. He spends years working as an associate. He earns money, commits violence, and develops a direct relationship with Tony. Tony eventually tells him that he will propose him. Later, Christopher receives a late-night call from Polly, telling him to dress properly and meet him. Even at that point, Christopher is not completely calm. Adriana worries that the meeting could be a trap. Christopher dismisses the fear, although he remains nervous during the drive. The secrecy is intentional. A candidate does not receive a printed invitation explaining the location, time, and guest list. He is summoned and expected to follow instructions. When Christopher arrives, Eugene is already part of the same induction group. Tony, Silvio, Polly, and other established members are present. The candidate reaches the ceremony only after the internal decision has already been made. What happens during the ceremony? Christopher and Eugene's initiation is the most complete making ceremony shown in the series. Tony begins by asking whether they have any reservations. They are given one final opportunity to withdraw. He explains that membership lasts for life. The organization comes before the candidate's wife, children, and parents. If the member becomes sick and cannot earn, the family promises to care for him. The candidate is assigned a superior who is supposed to function as a father figure. Problems with people inside or outside the organization are brought to that superior. The new member is expected to keep disputes within the family. Their fingers are pricked. Blood is placed on a religious card. The card is burned in their hands while they swear that their souls should burn if they betray their friends and the family. They are congratulated and welcomed as members. The ceremony creates a lifelong relationship in a matter of minutes. The years before, it proved the candidate's value. The oath formalizes what the family now owns. Does the ceremony automatically make him rich? No. Christopher expects his new status to produce immediate wealth. Adriana imagines a better home and believes she will no longer need to work at Vesuvio. The first business Christopher receives is Polly's sportsbook. That sounds like a gift. It carries a weekly minimum that Christopher must pay whether he has a good week or a terrible one. Christopher makes mistakes, fails to spread his risk, and ends up short. Polly demands the missing money and adds a penalty. Membership gives Christopher access to larger earning opportunities. It also creates larger obligations. A made man receives no guaranteed salary. He has to generate his own income through rackets, gambling, loans, theft, construction, unions, and other operations. He sends a portion upward and keeps the remainder. A capable member can become wealthy. A weak member can end up owing money to his own superior. What benefits does a made man receive? The first benefit is official recognition. The new member becomes a friend of ours. Other made men understand that he belongs to a recognized family. His status can carry across crews and affect how people are allowed to treat him. The second benefit is greater protection. Hitting or killing a made man without authorization can create a major dispute. Tony's attack on Ralph after Trissy's death becomes a serious issue because Ralph is made. Trissy's death receives far less concern from the crew because she has no official status. The rule does not make a member physically untouchable. It forces attackers to consider the political consequences. The third benefit is access to better earning opportunities. Christopher receives the sportsbook. Other members gain control of construction interests, gambling operations, unions, loans, and criminal crews. The fourth benefit is a formal method for settling disputes. During the ceremony, Tony tells Christopher and Eugene to bring problems to their superior. A made member can request intervention when another connected person causes trouble. The fifth benefit is the family's promise of support. Tony tells the new members that they will be cared for if sickness prevents them from earning. The reliability of that promise depends heavily on the boss and the circumstances. The widows and children left behind by dead members do not always receive the comfortable support the ceremony suggests. The sixth benefit is status. People inside the criminal world speak differently to a made man. Christopher immediately begins acting more conscious of where he can be seen and how others should address him. These benefits are real. Their strength depends on power, money, and relationships. Is a made man completely protected? Membership provides political protection rather than physical safety. Big Pussy is made. Tony kills him after learning that he has cooperated with the FBI. Ralph is made. Tony kills him during a private fight. Vito is a captain. Phil's men murder him. Christopher is made. Tony suffocates him after the car crash. The rule against harming made men is enforced by other made men. A powerful boss can violate it and hide what happened. A rival family can ignore it and risk the consequences. Membership makes unauthorized violence more dangerous for the attacker. It does not guarantee survival. Does a made man become a captain? A new made man generally enters at the level of soldier. He joins a crew and answers to a captain or senior member. Christopher's initiation gives him a stripe, greater status, and an operation to manage. He does not immediately join Tony and Silvio as an equal decision-maker. Promotion to captain requires another decision. A captain manages soldiers and associates, controls larger operations, and sends money to the boss. Some made men remain soldiers for many years. The ranks above soldier depend on earning ability, trust, politics, and vacancies. Getting made places someone inside the hierarchy. It does not place him at the top. Can a made man give orders to civilians and associates? His status gives him authority inside criminal operations, especially over the associates assigned to him. Christopher begins supervising younger criminals. He can collect percentages from them, assign work, and use the family's reputation behind his demands. That authority has limits. A soldier cannot freely interfere with another captain's operation. He cannot ignore orders from above. He cannot create wars because someone annoyed him. The member gains power inside a chain of command. Every order he gives can still be questioned by someone above him. What does the new member owe the family? The first obligation is money. He must continue earning and sending tribute upward. Membership increases expectations because the family has trusted him with better opportunities. The second obligation is obedience. He follows orders from his captain and the administration. Personal disagreement does not release him from the responsibility. The third obligation is secrecy. He cannot reveal the family's business to law enforcement or outsiders. The fourth obligation is availability. He can be called to collect money, attend meetings, commit violence, or solve problems. The organization expects him to respond. The fifth obligation is loyalty, above personal relationships. Christopher eventually has to choose between Adriana and the criminal family. He chooses the organization. The decision follows the oath he took years earlier. The sixth obligation is acceptance of the hierarchy. A member brings disputes upward. He cannot attack another member freely or refuse every decision he dislikes. The ceremony offers protection. It also places the member under permanent control. Can a made man refuse an order? A member can express concern, argue, or attempt to persuade his superior. Open refusal creates serious danger. The exact consequence depends on the order, the member's importance, and his relationship with the boss. Valuable earners receive more space to negotiate. Weak members receive less. Bobby does not want to carry out his first murder. Tony gives him the assignment after their fight at the lake house. Bobby understands that refusing Tony could damage his position and place his family in danger. He completes the murder. A made man has more status than an associate. He also has more responsibility to obey. Can a made man retire? The initiation ceremony gives a direct answer. Membership has no normal exit. Eugene learns this in Season 6. He inherits a large amount of money and wants to move his family to Florida. He offers Tony part of the inheritance and hopes that years of service will earn him permission to leave. Tony refuses. Eugene is also cooperating with the FBI, and the agents refuse to let him leave because they still need him in New Jersey. He has enough money to begin a new life. Both organizations controlling him prevent it. Eugene eventually takes his own life. When you lay out his situation clearly, it is probably the bleakest position any character finds themselves in. He has done everything the organization asked. He has money. He has family. and he has less freedom than almost anyone else in the show. A member might reduce his workload because of age or illness. Junior and other older figures continue to hold status even when their activity declines. Formal resignation is not presented as an acceptable option. Can membership be taken away? The Mafia does not appear to have a peaceful cancellation procedure. A member who betrays the family can be killed. A member who becomes unusable may be pushed aside, demoted in practice, or stripped of operations. Vito cannot simply return his button and live elsewhere once he is exposed. Big Pussy cannot resign after becoming an informant. Membership ends through death, disappearance, or permanent incapacitation far more often than any formal expulsion. The lifelong nature of the oath protects the family from members carrying its secrets into ordinary life. What happens to the member's family if he dies? The ceremony promises support. Reality is less dependable. When Pussy disappears, Angie struggles financially and has to fight Tony for money. Vito's family faces serious problems after his death. Tony considers helping them and eventually chooses a cheaper solution that makes their situation worse. The widows of respected members retain some social connection to the organization. Rosalie remains close to Carmela and the other wives after Jackie Sr.'s death. There is no guaranteed pension with fixed payments. Support depends on the deceased member's reputation, the boss's mood, available money, and the relationships left behind. The promise made during initiation sounds far more secure than the assistance families actually receive. Why was Christopher finally accepted? Christopher has several qualities. The family values. He is connected to Tony through family. He is willing to commit violence. He earns money. He has participated in serious crimes and remained loyal. Tony sees him as someone he can shape into a future leader. Christopher also has major weaknesses. He is impatient, emotional, reckless, and increasingly dependent on drugs. Tony's sponsorship carries him across those weaknesses. Another candidate with Christopher's behavior may never have survived long enough to receive a proposal. Christopher's membership therefore comes from a combination of work, loyalty, blood connection, and Tony's personal plan for him. He earns his button. He also receives opportunities unavailable to most associates. Why was Eugene accepted? The show gives us fewer details about Eugene's early career. His induction beside Christopher tells us that he has already satisfied the family. He has a connection to the April crew, earns money, and has built enough trust to be approved. Eugene's story helps explain why the show leaves the process unclear. We follow Christopher closely because he is a main character. Most members would rise the way Eugene does from the audience's perspective. They spend years working in the background, and one day their induction is announced. The absence of a detailed Eugene backstory does not mean he entered easily. It means most of the work happened outside the scenes we were shown. Why was Bobby made without killing anyone? Bobby represents an unusual path. He comes from a respected criminal family. His father has already established a strong name within the organization. Bobby serves Junior loyally, follows orders, and avoids creating unnecessary problems. He is also capable of earning and managing responsibilities. His reliability may have been more valuable than an early murder. Bobby's case tells us that the family evaluates the full candidate. A famous requirement can be overlooked when other qualities compensate for it. His exemption is temporary in another sense. Once Bobby becomes important enough to Tony, Tony gives him a murder assignment. Higher status eventually brings the violent duty he had avoided. Why was Jackie Jr. never going to be made? Jackie has the correct family background and access to powerful people. He lacks the qualities that would make the family trust him. He has no reliable earning operation. He ignores Tony's advice. He lies badly. He confuses stories with instructions. He commits crimes without understanding the political consequences. Most importantly, the boss does not support his criminal career. Jackie thinks membership comes from proving that he is fearless. Tony and the others need proof that a candidate can follow orders and protect business. His final robbery confirms every fear they would have about inducting him. He fires at made members, creates a body, injures Furio, and brings police attention to the operation. Jackie has the bloodline. He never builds the trust. Every time I revisit his story, what strikes me is how much access he had, and how little he understood what any of it actually required from him. Why were Matt and Sean never serious candidates? Matt and Sean have energy, criminal ambition, and some useful education. They have no powerful sponsor who truly believes in them. Christopher uses them. Richie listens to them. Tony barely notices them. They respond to this lack of progress by taking independent action against Christopher. The attack proves that they cannot understand hierarchy. A serious candidate should know that killing Tony's relative without permission would create enormous consequences. Matt and Sean believe the murder will function as a job application. It becomes their death sentence. Why was Brendan never going to join? Brendan wants the image of Mafia life. He hijacks trucks, uses drugs, and treats warnings like challenges. He continues attacking Junior's interests after Tony and Christopher tell him to stop. His behavior creates conflict between crews and brings police attention. The organization gains little from making him. Membership would give greater protection and access to someone who already refuses to listen. Junior removes the problem before Brendan gets close to formal consideration. What is the complete process? Using the evidence from the series, the process can be reconstructed clearly. A person begins as a civilian with some connection to the criminal world. Someone trusted introduces him to a made member or established associate. He starts completing small jobs and becomes a regular associate. A made man takes responsibility for his work and collects part of his earnings. The associate spends years proving that he can earn, remain silent, follow orders, and handle criminal pressure. He develops a reputation inside the family. He demonstrates a willingness to use violence. A completed murder may strengthen his case, although Bobby proves that it is not always required before initiation. A powerful member decides that the associate deserves formal consideration and proposes him. The books must be open. Senior leadership approves the candidate. The candidate is summoned to a secret location and completes the ceremony. He swears lifelong loyalty, accepts the hierarchy, and places the criminal family above his personal family. He becomes a soldier, receives official recognition, and gains access to better earning opportunities. He begins paying larger amounts upward and becomes available for more serious responsibilities. There is no guaranteed timeline, required robbery, fixed earnings target, mandatory prison sentence, or universal pre-initiation murder. The essential requirements are eligibility, access, sponsorship, proven value, loyalty, approval, and an open place in the family. Who can never join? Based on the American organization presented in the series, several people are excluded or practically excluded. A person who is not accepted as Italian cannot become made, although he can remain a powerful associate. A woman cannot enter the formal American hierarchy shown in the series. A known informant or traitor would be killed rather than inducted. An openly gay candidate would be rejected by the culture of Tony's organization. A person who repeatedly ignores orders would have little chance of approval. A person without any sponsor or trusted connection would struggle to enter the process. A person who cannot earn, keep quiet, or handle pressure gives the family no reason to accept the risk of making him. What does someone automatically receive when he is made? He receives official membership. He receives recognition as a friend of ours. He receives greater political protection from unauthorized violence. He receives access to more valuable criminal opportunities. He receives a superior who is supposed to settle his disputes. He receives the family's promise of support during illness. He gains the ability to supervise associates and earn from their work. He gains respect inside the criminal world. He does not automatically receive a salary, wealth, a captain's rank, freedom from arrest, or protection from his own boss. His new benefits arrive with permanent obligations. So, can a civilian join the Mafia in The Sopranos? Yes, provided he fits the organization's membership standards and gains access through someone the family trusts. Does he need a specific age? The series gives no minimum. He needs enough experience to be considered tested. Does he need to be Italian? For formal membership in Tony's American family, the evidence says yes. The exact ancestry rule is never explained. Does he need to be related to a gangster? No. Family connections make the path much easier. Does he need to earn a specific amount? No fixed amount is ever stated. Consistent earning remains one of the most important qualities. Does he need to complete a major robbery? No. A successful crime can improve his reputation, and an unauthorized crime can destroy him. Does he need to kill someone? Not in every case. Bobby is already made before his first murder. A willingness to carry out violence remains part of the life. Does he need to go to prison? No. Does he need a sponsor? Yes. Someone inside the family has to support and propose him. Can he join when the books are closed? No. He has to wait until leadership begins accepting new members. Does he become rich immediately? No. He receives opportunities and financial obligations. Can he leave later? The organization says no. The Mafia in The Sopranos has no single entrance test because it is not looking for one skill. It is looking for a certain kind of person. The candidate has to earn money without stealing too much from the people above him. He has to commit crimes without creating unnecessary attention. He has to use violence when ordered and control himself when no order has been given. He has to remain loyal under pressure. He needs someone powerful enough to support him and leadership willing to accept the risk. Christopher reaches the ceremony because Tony keeps guiding him toward it. Bobby reaches it through family reputation, reliability, and years of service. Eugene reaches it through a career that mostly happens outside our view. Jackie Jr. believes his father's name has already completed the process. Matt and Sean believe one spectacular murder will complete it. Brendan believes fearlessness is enough. Those misunderstandings are deadly. because the Mafia allows associates to feel close to membership long before they have any real claim to it. They carry guns, they collect money, they stand near made men, they begin dressing and speaking like members. The organization continues watching them from above. When Christopher finally receives the call, he has already spent years doing the work. The ceremony lasts only a few minutes. A needle enters his finger, a card burns in his hands, and everyone congratulates him. That small ceremony changes how the entire criminal world is supposed to treat him. It also confirms that the family now owns every useful part of his life. His money belongs partly to the men above him. His problems stay inside the organization. His personal family comes second. His freedom to leave disappears. Getting made is the highest achievement these young associates can imagine. Once they receive it, they learn that membership is another word for permanent obligation.